You did nothing wrong, yet they hate you. You never provoked them, yet you keep getting dragged into battles you never chose. The truth? The reason you're a target isn't your mistakes, it's your strength. More people live this reality than you think. At work, you deliver results, avoid gossip, yet colleagues whisper behind your back. In your family, holding firm to your principles earns you the label difficult. In your friend group, simply improving your life invites the accusation that you've changed. This isn't about being a victim, it's about recognizing the silent threat you pose to those who can't match your discipline, calm, and self-control. If you've ever felt this, stay with me until the end. Because Stoic philosophy doesn't just explain why you're being targeted, it shows you how to turn it into power, so you become truly untouchable. Part 1. The real reason you're targeted. Most people believe that if they live kindly, avoid conflict, and never offend anyone, they can steer clear of trouble. It feels logical, almost like a universal law. If I'm good to others, they'll be good to me. But life doesn't work that way. Kindness is not a shield against hostility, and not everyone will return the goodwill you give. Marcus Aurelius wrote a timeless reminder. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "Today I will meet the rude, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful, the envious, and the ill-tempered. They are like this because they do not know what is good." The truth is, the reason you become a target is rarely because you are weak. It's because you are stronger than they expected. Your presence alone challenges their comfort. You stay calm when they lose control. You remain disciplined when they indulge every impulse. You refuse to join their games of chaos and gossip, and this unnerves them. Your restraint exposes their lack of self-control. Your focus makes their distractions impossible to ignore. Your silence forces them to hear their own noise. A real-world example. I once worked with a man who was friendly to everyone except one person in our team. The outcast? A quiet, reliable worker who never went out drinking after hours, never joined in complaints about management, and always completed his tasks ahead of schedule. His silence wasn't arrogance, it was self-respect. But to this colleague, it was a mirror reflecting his own laziness and lack of discipline. And instead of improving himself, he chose the easier route, tearing someone else down. Epictetus put it plainly, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself. Instead, think, they are not aware of my other faults. If they knew them, there would be more to say." This is the paradox of human nature. Your very qualities of self-control, integrity, and focus can become the reason others target you. It's not your mistakes that provoke them, it's your strength. People feel safer around mediocrity because it doesn't demand they confront their own shortcomings. But when someone lives with clarity and discipline, it unsettles those who have chosen comfort over growth. And here is the hard truth. Sometimes your light will irritate the eyes of those who have grown used to the dark. This is why Stoicism doesn't just teach you how to survive in a hostile world, it teaches you how to stand unshaken in the middle of it. Because the day you stop needing approval from those who misunderstand you is the day you become untouchable. Part 2. The psychology behind it. Projection. There's a powerful concept in psychology called projection, and once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Projection happens when people take the parts of themselves they dislike, their fears, insecurities, and failures, and unconsciously throw them onto someone else. It's a mental sleight of hand. Instead of confronting their own weaknesses, they make you carry them. They feel inadequate too, they call you arrogant. They fear being left behind too, they say you've changed, and you're not the same anymore. They can't control their emotions too, they label you cold and emotionless. It's not about you, it's about the version of themselves they're avoiding. Seneca warned us of this thousands of years ago. We often hate in others what we dislike in ourselves. And here's the dangerous part. Projection doesn't just distort reality for them. If you're not careful, it can distort reality for you. When someone keeps repeating a false narrative about you day after day, it's tempting to start defending yourself. But the moment you do, you've already stepped into their frame. You've accepted their version of reality. A real-world example. A friend once mocked my habit of waking up early to read. He laughed and said, "You must have way too much free time to do stuff like that." On the surface, it seemed like harmless teasing. But later, in a more honest conversation, he admitted he had tried to build the same habit and gave up after a week. He wasn't mocking my routine, he was mocking the sting of his own failure. My discipline had unintentionally exposed the gap between his intentions and his actions. This is the essence of projection. Your behavior becomes a mirror they didn't ask to look into, and most people don't like what they see when that mirror is held up without warning. When you embody qualities, they wish they had patience, discipline, emotional control. It creates an internal tension in them. It's easier to attack the person holding the mirror than to face the reflection. So, what do? The Stoic answer is simple, but not easy. Don't take ownership of what isn't yours. You cannot stop someone from projecting their insecurities onto you, but you can refuse to carry them. You can choose to see their accusations for what they really are, a confession in disguise. The next time someone calls you arrogant, cold, or changed, take a breath. Instead of reacting, silently ask yourself, what in them feels threatened by this part of me? That single question will transform your anger into understanding and your understanding into freedom. Because when you stop absorbing other people's projections, you stop living under their shadow. And that's when you become untouchable. Part 3. The psychological games. They play to pull you down. Once you recognize projection for what it is, the next step is seeing how it plays out in real life. People rarely come at you with open hostility right away. Most of the time, they use subtle, calculated moves to chip away at your confidence and pull you into their chaos. These are not random actions, they are patterns. And once you see the pattern, you can stop falling into the trap. 1. Passive, aggressive provocations. They don't attack head-on. Instead, they disguise their hostility as jokes, sly comments, or exaggerated innocence. The goal is to trigger an emotional reaction while giving themselves plausible deniability. Example: in a meeting, a coworker smirks and says, "Wow, you actually finished your work early? That's unexpected." They want you to bristle, to defend yourself, so they can shrug and say, "Relax, I was just kidding." The Stoic move: recognize the bait, but don't bite. When you respond calmly or not at all, you rob them of the drama they're fishing for. 2. Guilt-tripping you back into your old self. Change makes people uncomfortable, especially if your growth highlights their stagnation. They'll try to pull you back into old habits so they can feel safe again. Example: you stop going out drinking every weekend to focus on your health and goals. Suddenly, your friends say, "You're not fun anymore, you've changed." What they really mean is, "Your growth is making me question my choices, and I'd rather you shrink back down so I can stay comfortable." Seneca's advice is perfect here. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those you can improve. If they're pulling you backward, they're not the company you need to keep. 3. Public traps. Some people will intentionally provoke you in front of others, hoping you'll lose your composure. That way, they can point to your reaction as proof you're difficult, emotional, or unstable. Example: during a group conversation, someone brings up a sensitive subject and frames it in a way that puts you on the defensive. If you react loudly, you play into their narrative. The Stoic strategy: don't let the crowd dictate your state of mind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In other words, keep your dignity even when others throw theirs away. The core goal of these games, whether it's passive-aggressive remarks, guilt trips, or public provocations, the aim is the same: to drag you into their emotional arena where they have home field advantage. If you fight there, you lose. But if you stay centered, you force them to wrestle with their own discomfort, and that's a fight they're not ready for. Your greatest weapon is not a sharper tongue or a stronger counterattack. It's the ability to remain unmoved, no matter how artfully they try to shake you. Part 4. Building the Stoic inner wall. Once you see the games for what they are, the next question is, how do I protect myself from them? Not with louder arguments or sharper comebacks, but with something far more unshakable, your inner fortress. The Stoics didn't just talk about peace of mind, they trained for it like a warrior trains for battle. Epictetus compared the mind to a stronghold. If it's fortified, no outside force can breach it. But a weak, undefended mind, one insult, one rumor, one unexpected challenge, and the gates fall. Your inner wall has 3 layers of defense. Layer 1, see without reacting. Most people live on autopilot: stimulus, reaction, repeat. Someone says something insulting, and they flare up instantly. But the Stoic trains a pause between the event and the reaction. Ask yourself, will this matter 5 years from now, or even 5 hours from now? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And when you can see an attack without immediately reacting, you've already won the first battle. Example: your coworker makes a sarcastic comment during a meeting. Instead of snapping back, you simply note it in your mind. Attempt to provoke, ignored. The silence that follows is heavier than any retort. Layer 2, strategic silence. Silence is not weakness. It's a refusal to step onto the battlefield they've chosen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence." Strategic silence sends a clear message. You don't get to set the terms of engagement. It robs the other person of the spectacle they crave. Example: a family member tries to pull you into an argument over dinner. Instead of trading barbs, you calmly excuse yourself and focus on your meal. You've protected your peace and denied them the emotional payoff. Layer 3, emotional detachment. This is the highest and hardest level, caring enough to act with integrity, but not so much that other people's chaos can pull you under. Epictetus said, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it." Detachment isn't coldness. It's the ability to observe without absorbing. You acknowledge someone's attempt to provoke you, but you don't internalize it. Their storm doesn't become your storm. Example: an online stranger leaves a nasty comment on your post. You recognize it as a reflection of their day, their mindset, not your worth. And you move on without losing an ounce of peace. Why the inner wall works. When you master these 3 layers, observation without reaction, strategic silence, and emotional detachment, you stop being an easy target. The people who once fed on your reactions will starve. The games lose their fun when the other player refuses to play. And here's the hidden benefit. The stronger your inner wall, the less energy you waste defending yourself, leaving more to build the life you actually want. Part 5. The power of silence and the strategy of walking away. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of strength in the modern world. People mistake it for weakness, for surrender, for having nothing to say. But in reality, silence, when chosen intentionally, is one of the most powerful tools you can wield. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. He wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. When you stop feeling the need to comment, justify, or retaliate every time someone challenges you, you take away their control over your emotions. When silence is your best move." 1. When your words will be twisted. If the person is more interested in winning than in understanding, speaking only gives them more ammunition. 2. When they're seeking an emotional reaction, remember, many provocations are fishing expeditions. Don't take the bait. 3. When your presence alone is enough to make a point, sometimes your calm refusal to engage says more than any speech. Example: In a team meeting, someone makes a snide comment aimed at undermining you. Instead of taking the verbal bait, you calmly continue with your point, unshaken. The contrast between their pettiness and your composure speaks volumes. The strategy of walking away. Walking away is not about running from conflict. It's about removing yourself from arenas where no growth or resolution is possible. Epictetus taught, "You become what you give your attention to." If you constantly give your attention to pointless arguments, petty gossip, or toxic people, you're allowing them to shape you. Walking away is simply refusing to hand over that power. Example: you're at a family gathering, and the conversation turns into a heated debate where no one is listening, only shouting. You excuse yourself, get some fresh air, and let them keep circling the same drain. You've saved your energy and your peace. Why these tactics work? Silence and walking away are deeply unsettling to those who thrive on reaction. They expect you to meet their fire with fire, to match their chaos with chaos. When you don't, they're left alone with their own noise, and that can be uncomfortable for them in ways they can't admit. And here's the beauty. Silence and walking away are not passive moves. They are active choices that communicate, "I control my energy. You don't get to decide when I spend it." When you master these two arts, you stop being a participant in other people's storms. You stop being an easy target. And most importantly, you protect your peace without needing to explain or defend it to anyone. Because at the end of the day, the loudest message you can send is often the one you never speak. Part 6. Stoic Revenge. Living so well it silences your enemies. The Stoics didn't believe in revenge as we know it today. They didn't waste time plotting payback or imagining dramatic confrontations. Why? Because they knew that any energy spent on getting even kept you chained to the person who wronged you. Instead, they practiced a far more devastating form of revenge, one that doesn't require a single word. Live so well that your very existence becomes the answer. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When you refuse to sink to their level, when you refuse to mirror their bitterness or pettiness, you've already won. But the Stoic goes further, not only avoiding the traps, but thriving in full view of those who tried to pull them down. What Stoic revenge looks like in practice. 1. Thriving despite their efforts. If someone tried to sabotage you at work, the most powerful response is not gossiping about them, it's getting promoted anyway. It's walking into the office with your head high, proving their attempts failed. 2. Staying peaceful when they expect you to break. They want to see you unravel, to watch you lose control. The moment you remain calm in the face of their chaos, you've delivered the one blow they can't recover from, showing them they have no power over you. 3. Growing in silence. You don't announce your plans to people who might root against you. You work quietly, improve yourself, and let the results speak. Nothing frustrates a toxic person more than watching you succeed without needing their approval or acknowledgement. A real-world example. I knew a man who was constantly undermined by a colleague, small jabs in meetings, rumors whispered behind his back, attempts to take credit for his work. He never retaliated publicly. Instead, he kept his head down, did his job better than anyone else, and stayed professional. A year later, he was promoted to a leadership role, and the same colleague now reported directly to him. No shouting match could have achieved that. His success was the only answer needed. Why Stoic revenge is so powerful? It removes the one thing toxic people crave, your reaction. When you don't give them outrage, defensiveness, or even acknowledgement, they're left with the only thing they can't manipulate: your results. And here's the paradox. Stoic revenge doesn't even require you to think about them. You're not building your life out of spite. You're building it because you have better things to do than fight battles that don't matter. Epictetus said it best. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Your focus stays on becoming that person, not on proving anything to anyone. When you live like this, you don't just silence your enemies, you make them irrelevant. And that, in the Stoic way, is the sweetest victory of all. Conclusion: a lesson to carry with you. You will always encounter people who try to pull you down, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your very existence reminds them they haven't risen yet. The Stoic lesson is clear. Resist the urge to react with your first emotion. Guard your energy like it's your most valuable asset. Let your life, not your words, be the proof of who you are. Marcus Aurelius summed it up perfectly. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. If this message resonated with you, carry it into your week. Live it, breathe it, and watch how your world changes. And if you're committed to building this kind of unshakable strength, hit like, subscribe, and leave a simple comment below. I choose strength over reaction. Your journey starts now. Don't just listen, live it.